Legacy Maker, I am finally getting interviewed in my own podcast. I manifested this and was like, I need someone to interview me. So, my friend Amanda Walker, who is also a podcaster as well as a business coach, interviews me on my evolution being the best version of me. And I also interview Amanda as she shares her evolution in her own business. We both wanted to do this podcast episode so that you can see two ways of how we evolved and purposely pivoted our own businesses. Because Legacy Maker, there's no right or wrong way. There's only what is aligned to you. So let's drop the beat. Hey, Legacy Maker. I'm your host and MC, Elaine Lucardis, business and career coach for women of color and allies. And welcome to the Call Your Dreams podcast, where we have conscious conversations to help you create a business or career that is sustainable, abundant, and equitable to the lifestyle you deserve. Because our ancestors sacrificed so much so we could have this life of choice. Now, grab your coffee, tea, and/or boba, and let's call your dreams to create your legacy.
All right. So I'm so excited to be coming together today. We connected last month or something, just because we hadn't connected in so long. And we started figuring out that we're both in a very similar situation and business. And so it was like, we should definitely come together and record an episode together. And so we're releasing this episode on both of our podcasts. So we're going to take some time to interview each other and talk about really the evolution of business growth and growing as a human and allowing business to kind of mirror that growth and what we're both up to in business. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And I actually manifested this because I was thinking, I want someone to interview me about, I've talked about it so many in my episodes of why I'm transitioning. And just so all of you know, whether you're listening on my podcast or Amanda's podcast, I'm a business coach and career coach for women of color and allies. And I'm going to be almost in my fifth year in business. Probably by the time this is published, it will be 5 years. How about for you, Amanda? Oh, and introduce yourself
Similar.
to my audience who may not know
Yes,
who
yes,
you
yes,
are.
yes. My name is Amanda Walker. I too am a business and life coach, and I love coaching coaches to refine and perfect the mastery and skill of coaching
And so what did
and make a lot of money while they do that.
And what did you simplify and decide to focus on? And then I'll share what I simplified and decided to focus on.
Well, for me, that is my simplification because I started in the online business space and coaching space of like just over 5 years ago. I would say it was six, but the first year it was like totally hobbyish. I was not really paying attention. Clients were coming to me, but I was specifically focused in the nutrition and health space. And that I've done for 5 or 6 years. And I just kind of have been noticing this slow like soul leaving me a little bit around having some of those conversations and just growing and becoming passionate about the art of coaching. I've been a coach for 25 years. Like my first coaching job was when I was 15. And through the last 6 years, though, I've really realized some things in the coaching industry that I think need attention. But also, this is like tooting my own horn, but like I'm a damn great coach and I want to help others obtain that confidence in themselves. And so that's been kind of my refocus. How about you?
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I'm a business and career coach. And when the pandemic happened, my business went crazy. Like it doubled. I got so many clients coming in. My signature program was working with starting entrepreneurs. And because I have clients who consistently renew with me, I created another program, which was my inner circle for those that have been in business for at least a year, making consistent income. And I had to be really honest with myself. And I'm pretty sure you felt the same way of this. I'm not as lit up talking about my mastermind, showing up to the calls. And it had nothing to do with my clients. It was just more so where I was at. I enjoy, which I'm pretty sure for you, I know you focus on coaches. I work with coaches and consultants where, oh, I love these type of problems. I love the who do I hire next? I'm a mother or I want to have more of the lifestyle that I want. And I would actually love to hear from you is there was also a grief. I'm actually still grieving of who I was. And in all transparency and vulnerability, I even have gone back to therapy to talk about it, where, whoa, I have to rewire doing all the things, doing everything, doing all these programs. So now I'm focusing on one, just my inner circle. And then if it's not a good fit, I have people work with me one to one, but that's it. I have simplified my business. I mean, have you gone through the grief? I'm curious your
I mean,
process.
I feel like I'm still in it. I don't know that grief is the word I would feel the most. I think right now it's constantly navigating the feelings of doubt or the questioning, like, is this the right move? So
Hmm.
for you, maybe like it's narrowing in on the avatar. For me, I'm like, right? I've been coaching, business coaching for 3 years. So it's not entirely like I'm going after a new audience, but it was through coaching those people, I could start to see the difference in how I felt showing up. When I was getting on the calls to coach my signature program called Feel Amazing Naked, and I was coaching health coaching and wellness coaching and exclusively life coaching, I felt an entire different internal chemistry and motivation and excitement than I did when I was seeing clients who were business coaching and we were starting to talk about coaching and troubleshooting some of the gaps that they were having with their own clients. And I started to really go, oh my gosh, like this is palpable, like energetic difference here. And so, what is this telling me? And it was really scary for like a year and change. I was sitting on this and I was trying to be in two audiences. And so, I'm starting to have these eat protein at every meal conversations over here. And then talking about let's generate more revenue by coaching your clients with skill over here. It just was exhausting. And so for me, I've kind of feeling my like energetic weight of loss. Like I feel like I lost 10 pounds because I've just given myself permission to be one thing. But there is definitely that process of, oh shoot, did I make the right choice? I'm sad to leave all this knowledge like behind, but I'm trusting that. I mean, the thought that I keep going back to is all of that happened to bring me to this point to even
Hmm.
grow more.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this with my clients too, where if they're shifting their business or they're starting their business, like I'm starting from scratch and I remind them, no, you're not. You are starting from experience, right? All the things you had to do in your life, including the, I don't like saying good or bad, but the low vibrational experiences has helped you get to where you're at. And you point out something that is really important because, especially if you're new in business where you're thinking, I want to do all the things, but just what Amanda, you pointed out, I was doing health and nutrition and business coaching. And because they're two different things, it's also two different systems. It's two different things you're teaching, and it takes up a lot of,
Two different funnels, two different
yes.
avatars.
And
Yeah.
and I know there's a lot of people that may listen that are multi-passionate, but there's actually so much freeing space that happens when you do focus on one thing. And I don't know if you even know this, Amanda, but when I want to start a business and I was asking feedback from friends and family what I should do, they're like, "Oh, you should probably be a personal trainer or a health coach." And I'm like, because I lost 20 pounds when I was like talking to them, I just told them, no, I enjoy working out, but I don't want to make a business out of it. And I think that's another thing too, is realizing which things you're passionate about, but it doesn't have to be business all the time. And also, you pointed out something, I want to delve deeper into it. You're having these emotions and feelings of things. And I just want to share how important it is to really be in our body and acknowledge when something's not aligned versus it being aligned and why it's important to delve deeper. So, can you share that process?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go way back because I was a high school teacher for 10 years. And one of the things I acknowledged, I taught high school anatomy and physiology for 10 years. And then when I had my kids, a whole lot of things changed and I realized that that passion wasn't as much there when I have these beautiful babies like in front of me that are demanding. But one of the things I said when I was a high school teacher is I called it the filing cabinet teacher. I know we've all probably had these experiences through elementary school, junior high, high school, where we had the teacher who just was like, it's January, and every January I teach X, Y, and Z. And they go into the old rickety filing cabinet and they pull out like this month's lessons. And for me, that was a sign of lacking pulse around what your people need. And at the time, I was with teenagers, right? But like, I don't have the same teenagers year to year. The world is changing, their needs are changing, technology's changing. And so I said, if I ever get to that place, like, I need to leave the profession because I am doing, the students a disservice. And so I never got to that place. I left before to stay home with the kids, before opening my own business. but I transfer, I map across to exactly where I'm at now. If I become that filing cabinet coach, then it's time to change. And I guess I had that sense of like, I think the thing I was telling myself in my mind was, oh, this is just going to create systems. I want to create more systems. This will make things just easier, more simplified. I'm just going to repeat the same method. I'm going to repeat this cohort every 6 months. And while that went great for 3 or 4 years, and it's still going great, to be honest, it's not like we launched and hit the like zero participants. I mean, we just opened up a cohort of 30 people, but it was at my heart. It was energetically how I felt in my body, just seeing what calls were on my calendar or who was on my calendar and what the content was going to be. I started to feel a lack of joy and like vibration in my body, and it was palpable. And the same applies to teaching, the same applies to parenting, the same applies to your significant other, right? I think it's important to not just stuff that down. And I think there's a lot of people that do, they ignore that. One of my oracle cards, I don't know, do you, yes, you're a reader. I know you are.
Literally right here.
Okay. Okay. There's a deck by Rebecca Campbell called Work Your Light. And one of the cards says, listen to the niggle. And I love that because it's like nudge plus wiggle. I think there's a lot of us in business that don't listen to the niggle often enough because we're afraid, like, well, what if we go back? I've built all these things. Am I letting the world know I'm failing because I'm pivoting? And I think that for me, the big reframe is I'm like doing a disservice to fulfillment in my life if I don't listen to the niggle.
There's a similar quote that I heard when people think, well, I need the universe to tell me what to do. And so often I think people think it's a loud, booming voice or something horrible needs to happen, like a car accident or some health problem. When the reality is the universe or whatever higher being you believe in has been telling you, and it actually comes in whispers. And what's really important is being quiet enough to listen to those whispers. But similar to it, we were sharing about high school. The moment I decided I want to start a business was after the day I graduated from my master's. Because the day I graduated from my master's and I was working at Pasadena City College as a fundraiser, and the next move I wanted to become was an executive director, but I needed a master's. And when I graduated, I was like, oh my God, I've been listening to what everyone's been telling me that I need to do and not
You're
listening
so
to what I
spot on. Yeah.
really want to do. I couldn't eat that day. And look, I love food. So the fact that I couldn't eat at my graduation party, all my friends were there celebrating with me. I didn't eat at all. I wasn't happy. And I know how I should feel like because I was happy when I graduated from my bachelor's, happy when I graduated high school, but I was not enthusiastic about graduating from my master's. Do I regret not getting my master's? No, I don't regret it. I'm glad I did it. It got me to this point. And that's similar, as you say, like that nibble, that whisper for me was last year when Elaine, you were doing a lot. You're really happy here, not so much here. And also, I want to share, and I would love to hear what your quote unquote timeline was. I knew that I wanted to eventually transition out of my mastermind and really focus on my inner circle, but I didn't do it right away. I waited for the right timing. I waited for contracts to end and when to announce it. And it just happened. Okay, well, I have a retreat, which is March of 2022, where I announced it to my clients and contracts ended where they were not a right fit for the inner circle. And also, it just was not a right fit. So it was nothing negative or against clients. And that's when I decided to focus all of it there. And I will say, a hard struggle and challenge that I faced is wow, I'm not doing all the things, I'm not working all the time. It's so weird where because that's what I did. I was just like in hustle mode where I'm like, I get to pick and choose what I do. I'm putting these boundaries in place. Yeah, I would love to hear your timeline. When did you realize you want to change it? And how did you start deciding you wanted to just focus on business coaching versus being a life and health coach?
Yeah. Well, first off, I just want to acknowledge I'm so excited to hear you say that. That just like not working all the time, setting more boundaries. I think for me, just being in business in general, boundaries have been a critical part of the process because I do have small kids and a husband whose schedule is like crazy, he travels all the time. And so I think boundaries I've had to force myself to, because I'm like, I could totally be a workaholic. I could work because I love it. Like I could totally work 15 hours a day if I wanted to and be really happy because my work is fuel for me. But I think that my timing was horrible. But I had been ignoring like that feeling for a long time, right? I mentioned I was coaching health and nutrition, and like my husband like, why do you have to just leave this? You're so good at this. Like, this is like how you walk, talk, and breathe. You're an example of fitness. And so when I told him, I was like, I'm going to go all in, he was kind of like, you're what? Like, are you kidding? Are you going to leave all this behind? I'm like, I have to. Like, energetically, I am not fulfilled. And I think this is a really
Mm,
important thing to mention. I'll talk more to timeline is fulfillment is more than revenue. What I think happens
yes.
often inside of business, and I see this in coaches, and let's say that the culture is, I mean, we're dangling the carrots of revenue all the time, right? Because we know our people, they want to make more money. However, I think there is a chronic compulsive tendency in the online space to keep chasing squirrels, right? To keep making changes in an attempt to make more revenue, which people think like, if I have X money, I will be fulfilled, right? That's like the cultural bullshit. I hope that I can cuss on
Oh,
yours.
yes, you
Sorry.
can.
Okay. I can cuss
Do
on mine,
not
so it's all right.
apologize being your most
Okay.
authentic self.
I realized I didn't know if you had explicit lyrics or like explicit words on yours, but so we chase this fulfillment in hopes that by changing our external circumstances, the monetary input, right, the profit, that we will feel more fulfilled. But I believe that what you and I are doing right now is finding fulfillment in the journey, which is actually the most sustainable way to grow a business. Because otherwise, we're going to peter out in 2 years when we're like forcing, square pegs into round holes and we're not feeling fulfilled, and then we can make all the money in the world and it still won't quench that thirst if we're not feeling fulfilled in the work that we're doing. And I think the people that you and I both serve are similar to that. But as far as timeline goes, I mean, I just decided in the middle of a launch, I was like 3 days into launch, and I told my team, I'm like, hey, this is going to be the last time we launch the Feel Amazing Naked program. And I want to ask you a question about your timeline in just a moment. But I literally got an email from somebody that I follow. And it said, if you weren't chasing the clients and the repetition and the money, would you be doing exactly what you were doing in business? And my answer was a very clear no. Like when I read that line in her email, I was like, nope. And I was like, I have to stop and listen to that. And so we decided to throw out scholarship opportunities, take a little turn in our launch, fill up this last cohort saying like, hey, this is us. We're going out this last time. I will be offering other programs, but it may not be like for you in the future. So I just like, I could have waited and done it really nice and seamlessly and all that kind of stuff. But actually, I think it's really stoked a lot of great conversation with people. And it's allowed me to be really messy and intentional in between. So
Well, I did something actually, as I reflect back, I was in the middle of a launch. I was launching my mastermind, but what happened was towards the end, people were not converting for the mastermind. They were converting for my inner circle. I'm like, oh, okay. And I didn't announce it. I didn't say, okay, I'm going to end my mastermind. I was just like, well, I'll just still keep, instead of promoting a specific program for my mastermind, I just kept promoting my clients. And I just had more inner circle clients come to me. So I guess
which I
what,
think is organic, right? It's
yeah.
organically evolved with you.
But what I want my audience, and I'm sure for your audience too, it's like the frustrating thing about the online space, it's like follow A, B, C, D, E. And I hope both of our listeners are hearing, oh, Amanda did it this way, Elaine did it this way, that there is no right or wrong. What's more important, and that what both of us hope you are getting out of it, is you listen to that nibble, you listen to that whisper from the universe, and you do what is aligned to you because it will get louder. And the unfortunate thing for me, when I think back in my 20s, when it comes to life experiences or dating, unfortunately, it was always like a car accident. We're like, oh, okay, something needs to change or happen. And now I'm catching it before, because I don't know about you, but car accidents aren't expensive. So let's prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I don't want catastrophic experiences changing my trajectory, that's for sure. But okay, so I want to ask you a couple questions.
Yes.
I mentioned I got that email and it was kind of like this question that all of a sudden like was really clear for me to shift directions. Did you have like a moment where you were like, yes, this is it. This is my decision to move and shift and pivot?
I don't know if there was like a, oh, like that euphoric aha moment. I think there was just different steps for it, right? So I'm really glad that we're talking about it because for you, it was that email, right? But for me, oh, huh, interesting. My inner circle is selling, not my mastermind. And then afterwards, like when the beginning of this year happened, I'm like, oh, okay, mastermind clients are leaving, but I'm getting more inner circle people signing up. So I was just seeing what was
Mhm.
happening. And I also have to be really honest with myself of, okay, how do I feel when I show up to my mastermind calls? How do I show up to my inner circle calls? Oh, I really do enjoy talking about these type of challenges and issues of not just like what you're saying, not just revenue, but are you burnt out? Asking that hard
Yeah.
question. Are you actually taking time to work out and fill your cup? Are you having lunch and dinner with your partner or are you having lunch and dinner with your computer again?
Mhm. Yeah.
So no, there
So
was no
such a
aha moment. It was just different things and paying attention to it.
Yeah, which is great because it's different people different can receive that like learning and that lesson in different ways and still shift in outcomes. So, who do you feel like actually I want to ask a different question and then we'll head into that one. When you think about the transition, like what changes specifically are you making in business now to attract that ideal client or any, if any?
Yeah. So my client journey, and now we're going strategy wise, right? So my client journey is I used to do free monthly events.
Mhm.
I gave so much to that. And then they ended up joining my mastermind. And something that I was actually talking to with my therapist, I was like, I just felt burnt out, but I was giving so much and not filling my own cup. And she's like, it sounds like compassion fatigue. I'm like, ooh, tell me more. But compassion fatigue is like when you're just putting so much to your community, to your audience. But what are you doing to fill your cup up? Like it felt like an unequal exchange of giving. And I'm not saying I wanted all the clients to convert and everyone that came to my event convert. That's not what I'm trying to say. It just didn't feel equal anymore. So that's what it was before. What it is now, 75% of my business revenue comes from referrals and renewals, which is not surprising. I've been in business for almost 5 years. I
Same. Yeah.
share client results every week on Monday in my emails. If you want to join the Color Dreams newsletter, it's elainelu.com/join, JOIN. And so I do that. That's renewals and referrals. And then 25% actually comes from Google SEO and podcasting. And
Your
here's,
podcasting will grow over time too because
yeah,
I'm so
actually, and I
much of
would love for you
my
to, I would
yeah.
love for you to share too. And I know I could have a side conversation with you later about it, but
Yeah.
we should do it here. But
Yeah.
what we're talking about whispers and nibbles, right, from the universe. People were telling me, hey, I found you on Instagram by typing woman of color business coach. And when I thought about that, I remember planning a trip to Santa Barbara. I'm similar to you, Amanda, because
I
both
love
of us,
Santa Barbara, by the way. I'm going there this weekend.
Amanda and I are actually going to see each other next month,
Yes.
probably in New York. And just like you, I love staying at luxury hotels or just luxury places. I just have to. Yeah, I have to. I'm
Yeah.
bougie.
Yeah, I love Santa Barbara.
So as I say that, I was like Googling like Santa Barbara hotels. And then I had a light bulb moment. If I'm Googling a hotel, people are Googling me. And when I've done sales calls, if they were not a referral or renewal, it would be people who just found me. I'm like, well, why don't I lean more towards Google SEO? So I started doing it. What was interesting is I've always thought about wanting to do a podcast, but I didn't want to do it just because everyone was doing it. I wanted
Mhm.
to do it for the right time. And even my Google SEO guy said, hey, a lot of people in your niche have a podcast. You should consider doing it. I'm like, I want to, but not yet. And then a year later, I'm like, I don't know if this is the reason why you did it. I would love to know why you decided to do a podcast. I just got over social media. It feels like Mean Girls, like high school when you're on social media. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? You are given X amount of characters. I'm not going to do the dancing, pointing stuff for
Reels. Yeah.
reels. I wanted deeper conversations. I wanted real conversations. And what I love about podcasting, there's no algorithm. You get to pick and choose if you want to listen to this episode. If
It's
you don't
owned
like it,
media. It's owned
yeah, you could
media. Yeah.
leave. And I don't even know if you left in the middle of an episode. I feel like I'm not being aggressive in sharing and my guests sharing our knowledge, our experience and wisdom, as opposed to Instagram. Sometimes you just want to look at cat memes, you know? And they're like, oh, here's a business tip or a coaching tip. I'm like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. And I just got over social media.
But I
That's
think
why,
what you just said makes you special. It makes you you, right? Already the clients you serve are unique in that who but you being who you are and having those conversations. I was literally just with before we got on this call talking with my team for our biweekly as a community. We meet together, my coaches and my OBM and my VA, and we're really working on visibility right now around podcasts. So as we record this, I set a goal of 30 podcasts, 30 days. And I was just talking about, and a lot of what I'm doing right now is just warm connections of people. As I'm making this huge pivot, right? I have to show up as an expert in a different space now. And people don't know me as the expert coach, right? I'm great at coaching, but they're not necessarily aware that what I want to do is help coaches refine the art of coaching and gain confidence in their craft. And so it's like, I have to go tell the world about it. But I don't know about you, but I've been podcasting now for multiple years. We released our 200th episode in August, and we're completely rebranding the podcast. So it's going from Feel Amazing Naked. It'll be called Best Damn Coach. And we're going to be focusing on 3 elements: coaching yourself, coaching your clients, and growing your coaching practice, right? So the thing about it though is I get pitched all the time in my emails, and it's like, hey, just listen to episode 85 and you said this thing. It was so good. Meet my client. She blah, 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 blah. It's like so canned, so cheesy. And I really just delete. And I said to my team, you know what? I'm just going to take the real authentic approach. Like, look, I get pitched all the time in my DMs. I don't want to be that girl. I'm just telling you, like, I want to be on your show because I'm passionate about what I want to talk about. If you want me, great. If you don't, just let me know. Here's the things I want to share to your community because it feels like a really congruent fit. Like, can we just not do the smoke and mirrors and can we just say what we really want? Like, I want to be on your show to add value, and that should be enough.
yeah. And also, I don't know if you feel the same way too, but I want real people. Like I know that there's a lot of other podcasts where it's like big names or celebrities. I'm not saying you're not a big name and you're not cool. Obviously you are.
Likewise.
But yeah, similar to what you were saying, I just want to be with people that I want to talk to. But I get
And our
pitched.
clients, right? Like, I want to
Yeah.
celebrate my clients and I want them to be on the show and I want them to be able to talk about their work and I want them to be able to showcase like our interactions together. And so I think there's so much value in that.
Yeah. And similar to you, I'm just over the pitching. Hey, I should be on your show. I'm like, did you even listen to it? Right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
just a little tip, if you do want to pitch to a podcast, like listen to not just one and not just the most recent, but to a couple of episodes and why you enjoy it. And it was just a casual conversation, even how both of us showed up to wanting to do this episode. But what I also want to emphasize, you kind of talked about it with how people pitch quote unquote to you or just how you want to have real conversations is that's what's people are forgetting online is that a business is based off building relationships and connections and to stop thinking that every conversation has to be a client. What if a conversation's just a conversation? Like both Amanda and I are going to go to New York, and I know both of us are boxing each other. I'm just so excited to just connect with other people. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't need
I,
something from someone. I just want to connect. That's it.
and I think that's really important to be unattached to the outcomes of connections, which is an
Yes.
area I am such an introvert and I didn't come up in a profession where connections actually were a thing, right? You're a teacher, you're kind of in this enclosed environment. I'm interacting with high schoolers a lot. And so that's something that I've really had to learn and teach myself and learn from others like you. You've been a great example of that, just the power of connection and reaching out and being not in your own head. Like, get out of your own way of just like make connections, introduce yourself, be willing to have that virtual coffee, not knowing where it could go, right? But those things do have ROI that sometimes pays dividends down the road. And it may not be the dividend that you expected, the client, right? Or even wanted, but it could be something else that could be of high service to you, or you could serve them even more importantly. And I think that that's a really important piece to make sure is a part of business strategy and just
But
being a human.
well, because you've been what you said 200 episodes in, I am probably 17 episodes, almost 20 episodes in, so I'm still a baby from it. But the shocking thing, as a positive that I love about podcasting is the connecting and networking with others.
Me too.
I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I get to talk to these folks and I get why Oprah loves her job. I mean, she gets paid billions to interview people. So as I'm interviewing other people, like I'm learning and growing. I even have said in a couple of my podcast episodes, like, ooh, I'm getting free coaching right now. Obviously, if I want more, I will pay the other person, or you should work with this person. So, Amanda, I mean, what tips and advice would you have for folks who are unsure about their business right now? You know, they know it's successful, they know the systems and process, they probably want to shift. What advice would you have for them?
I mean, this is not sexy advice, but I think we should both give advice, by the way, on this. So I'm going to ask you the same question. I think the first thing is take a step back from business. Sometimes I think we try to muscle through the resistance because we're like, I used to be so, what's wrong with me? I used to love this. That's what I was starting to wake up and notice. Like my alarm would go off at 5 and I was like, bing, ready to do the day. And then that kind of faded and I have it back. And that feels so exciting. And so I think sometimes to answer our questions in business, we go into the business when I think the answer is actually pulling ourselves out, taking some space, go do the things that you love, go get some workouts in, go dump yourself into being outside, go take a vacation and really take a vacation from your business. Don't just pretend that you're going on a vacation and still be in your business. And I think just pay attention to what comes up for you. And I love that question. That really was a solution for me. If you weren't chasing the clients who you've always been, what feels normal and comfortable, like would you still be doing the thing you were doing? And if the answer is yes, then I think the follow up that I would ask yourself is it just an opportunity? In LCS in Life Coach School, one of the things we really like help our clients with, and that we're taught through Life Coach School, is the constant quest we have to change external circumstance to change how we feel. Right. So if I just change the thing outside me, then I will feel different. And so that's the question I would ask yourself is it the changing of the business that will make you feel different? Or can you tap into that feeling now without changing the business? Like, are there other things you're doing in your business? Or is it the fact that you just don't really like the content and that's not lighting you up? I just want people to be clear on that part. Because I think in the beginning of business, especially, it's very easy to chase squirrels because we're like, this isn't working, this isn't working. But like, how long have you
Mhm.
really been trying it? And what data are you collecting? So that would be kind of where I would suggest start is pull yourself out of the business and ask some hard conversations. How about you? What would you say to
Ditto.
somebody who's in that place? Ditto.
I was just like, yes, to the pause. And it's not saying you turn it off right away, but maybe you just experiment, right? So when I decided I did it, I wasn't enjoying like you're saying exactly the same thing that I was going through last year. I'm like, I'm not waking up excited, right? Like I have 5 people to follow up with. I'll follow up. And then I started feeling I am not feeling it. I'm not excited. So I went from doing monthly events to let me try bi-monthly. Let me try quarterly. Hmm. I actually don't want to do free events moving forward. That was really hard. It was pausing on it and asking, what do I really enjoy? And just like you were saying, it is not sexy, but it is so simple. Do you take time to journal every day and actually ask yourself, what did bring me joy? What didn't? What did I learn from today? And I actually prefer, and I tell my own clients, do it pen to paper. Because what happens when you do on your notes app on your phone, it's like you get distracted from text messages or going on social media because the answers are within us, but we have to do that hard work of pausing and asking those questions.
Mm,
And talking about what you're sharing, like the feeling of it, it's like I did I know this is not business, but I'll just share my slump. Last week, I was feeling a slump. I have a Peloton bike. Me and Amanda and a group of us friends, we talk about
yeah.
it. We talk about who our favorite instructors are. But last week, I was just like, I just don't want to do it. I want to be around other people. So instead, I went to Soul Cycle. I was like, oh, and when I was in Soul Cycle, if you've never been, it is like a club, except you're not spending money on drinks. You spend the money on like killing
Your health.
calories and it was a Nicki Minaj versus Ariana Grande ride. And I was like, this was the high I needed. I needed to do
Yeah.
this. And I think so much that's happened in the past 2 years of the pandemic, we've learned how important it is to take care of our mental health Because I remember saying this to my therapist, I feel like a lab rat. I'm just doing the same things over and over again. So, what are ways you could infuse joy or spontaneity or something different? It
Mhm,
doesn't have to be as
mhm.
crazy as doing a trip, but maybe it is going to Soul Cycle or taking a different class or checking out a coffee shop.
Going for a walk outside every day, right? And being consistent in that.
Yeah. So, I like ending my episodes. And obviously, if you have questions, please ask me. What is one action item and one reflective question you'd want folks to get from this episode?
Well, I think that for me, like, action strengthens belief, and I
Mhm.
remind my clients of that all the time. And so, like, if you are ready to, like, make a pivot or make a change, or you're in this stumbling places, the question I would ask myself is, what belief do I need to embody to become that thing, to do that change, right? We always, again, I'm always asking my clients, like, what's your T line? What's your thought line that's going to help you create that result in your life? And so I think that's a really important part of understanding the direction that you're going to take is, well, everything starts with belief. And if there is not a belief in yourself to make a directional change in your business, then my action step is figure out what that gap or rather bridge belief is going to be to help you start taking action, and then ask yourself, what's the number one goal I have in my business right now, and what is the thing that I need to do in order to, like, take that action to move forward.
Mm,
I have a question for you.
yes.
What are you most excited for now moving forward?
Living. I know that sounds so simple, but just like really living life to its fullest. You touched on it earlier, where unfortunately we're marketed or advertised about like the next revenue, right? The next number, the goal. To me, that's abundance is being completely present, right? You are a mother. I have now a 4-week-old nephew. It's being able to like hold him and just see him experience life. I mean, right now it's literally eating, sleeping, and pooping, but it's just beautiful to see, or even having that luxury of, you know what? And I literally just planned it that day. I'm going to go do Soul Cycle today, right? So, really picking and choosing how I want to live my life. And I'm also mindful of the fact, and I'm sure you are too, that with age, with experiences, it may change, and that's okay.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. You know what I think we should also add is just like where people can find us, because for my listeners, they who are listening and are totally connected with your message, can you share a little bit more about where they can find you and where you are sharing content and the name of your podcast?
Yeah. So my podcast name is Color Your Dreams. So you can listen to it any major podcast platform. If you want to get free weekly business tips, you could go join my newsletter. I share it every Monday. It's the Color Your Dreams newsletter at the website is elainelu.com/join. So that's JOIN. And then if you want to hang out on Instagram, DM me, let me know what you enjoy. You could follow me on Instagram at Elaine Lu, so underscore. So that's ELAINELOU underscore. Amanda, how
Perfect.
can my audience find you?
I am on Instagram as well, A Walk My Way. If you search Amanda Walker, I should pop up as well. And as I mentioned before, you can find my current podcast under the title of Feel Amazing Naked. And we're not starting a whole new podcast. You're literally just going to see after episode 199, 200 picks up under a new brand. And the podcast will be called Best Damn Coach. And we'll be talking about, again, how to coach yourself, how to coach your clients, and how to grow your coaching practice. And then to find out more about programs and to pick up our new free resource that we're launching, you can visit you can't. You can visit amanda-walker.com. I'm getting used to saying that now because it's so nice to, like, here's one tip. Actually, here's a massive action tip. Like, clear over clever will always win in business. And one of the misconceptions I had, I was like, I'm going to come up with this fancy, clever name. And I never bought my domain, amandawalker.com, in the beginning. And I so wish that somebody would have given me the tip that I give all to my people. Because when they're in the beginning, we're like, oh no, I want a cutesy name, something that's really going to meet with people. And then when you grow a personal brand, you just want to be you. And unfortunately, that is taken. So Amanda-Walker.com works, but that was something I would say, go out and buy your domain of your name or some iteration of your name so you can have it because you never know what the future holds.
Well, I want to add to that. My logo is literally my signature. It's Elaine Liu.
Yes, another great example.
Yeah, and both both Amanda and I did our branding with Tiffany Newman, and she just kept my logo for Elaine Liu. And then I have Color Your Dreams branded, that's trademarked. And I was even considering, I was like, oh, should I put everything under that? I was like, but I evolve and I want people to get to know me. So
Yeah, I wish somebody would have pushed me that direction earlier. Nobody had that conversation with me. So now I feel like my mistakes become my client wins and they thank me for that little token I give off it at the beginning. So
I know. It's interesting. I look at my podcast episodes, and my number one podcast episode that was listened to is why I ended my mastermind and how to simplify your business. And I mean, I had a team meeting earlier too. I was like, gosh, my listeners just love it when I just fuck up, don't they? They just want to learn from it. And also my own clients, I get excited. I was like, oh, I made a mistake. Can't wait for you guys to hear from it. But mind you, and I'm sure you tell your clients this, both Amanda and I cannot protect you from all of your mistakes, but you can learn from ours, and we hope that you just don't repeat it. It's kind of like what we tell
yeah,
our
it's true.
children, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you tell
totally,
them whatever,
totally.
but they're still not going to listen.
Yeah, and they have to learn through their own mistakes too. Some, though, we can give advice to lessen the blow a little bit.
Yes. Thank you so much for hanging out with us literally in your closet.
Yeah, literally recording in my closet as my house gets worked on today. So thank you for letting me speak to your audience. And I'm so grateful that you would share yourself with mine as well.
Yeah. Congrats on the new launch with everything.
Yeah, same.
So here's the hard question, Legacy Maker. Are you living life to the fullest? Are you present with your loved ones and with yourself in your business and life? A huge thing I focus on with my clients is creating a sustainable life and lifestyle. So, if you're feeling unaligned with your current life and career, schedule a complimentary 30-minute legacy business and career review where you will receive 3 action items towards your personal and professional goals. To schedule, go to elainelu.com/call. And if you want more information about my Color Your Dreams Inner Circle program, which is a combination of both one-to-one and group calls and 2 retreats within 12 months for established coaches and consultants, go to elainelu.com/inner circle. Legacy Maker, if you love this Color Your Dreams episode, we would love it if you can leave a rating and review on Apple, so more women of color and allies can benefit too. And if you have 1 or 2 friends that would get so much from this particular episode, please share. The intention behind the Color Your Dreams podcast was to contribute and give back to our people. All right. We'll see you next Thursday for our newest Color Your Dreams episode. And don't forget to color your dreams to create your legacy.